Who out there has a question? Anyone?
Why'd you pick letters?
For this presentation? Because it's the one thing that's common for all the stuff that I do. I used to be able to draw really well, but I don't practice enough to draw as well as I could. And I just keep meeting more people who can draw better than me, who I find fun to work with. And I find that the one thing that sort of is common to everything, whether it's a book cover, whether it's a sign on a building, whether it's packaging for a video game, it's like somehow you have to always decide, you know, how are you going to write the word Guitar Hero, how are you going to write the word New York Times. Sometimes it's already telling you how to do it, but sometimes you have to figure out how to do it. And then once I started realizing that, I started getting really interested in the history of some of these letters, because they all have a history. Some of them are brand new, some of them are incredibly old. And you find that you sort of, like an architect gets to decide whether they make a building out of glass or brick or stone or marble or wood. If you're a graphic designer, a lot of times the first choice you get to make is what typeface to make it out of. And these days, everyone gets to pick a typeface. You know, if you're doing a paper for school and you're doing it on a computer, you go to, like, you know, Microsoft Word, and you can do it in, you know, Times Roman or Helvetica or Arial or Verdana or whatever typeface they have in your computer, you know. So everyone gets to make that choice now. And somehow it does mean something. It doesn't mean everything, but when you do it wrong, the wrong guy can get elected president. If you do it right, it can make people happy sometimes. So I try to do it right more often than wrong, I hope. So I hope that answers the question. Because you asked the first question, I have a book with no pictures in it. Do you want it? Okay, so. You can come down and get it. Okay. Can you run this back one?
Good job, Cry.
Prize for the first question. Second question gets no prize at all. That's a good answer, I hope. Yeah, in the front.
What's been the most satisfying project you've ever worked on?
The question is, what's been the most satisfying project you've ever worked on? I think a lot of them are really satisfying. Some of the ones that are the most satisfying are ones that are like out on that are like in public sometimes, you know. And so sometimes I'll, you know, I mean, like if I design a book cover and I go to a bookstore and I see a cover I did, I'll sort of like be happy and think, oh, I did that. But I have to admit, like the very first time I saw someone walking around with one of those Saks Fifth Avenue bags in New York, I was like completely like, you know, beside myself. Because you know, I'd seen, we did that project for 18 months. It took a year and a half to do that. And we would see mock-ups and samples and prototypes and models and something. But then finally I saw someone I had never met carrying that bag on the street. And like I like ran up to her sort of, but then I was almost going to say something. Then I thought that she looked kind of scared. So I kind of like, you know, I thought you were, I'm sorry. And then I kind of like moved down. And then I just kind of like, you know, kind of stared at her in this dreamy sort of way. So that was satisfying in a really egotistical sort of way. I mean, more spiritually satisfying, I would say. That library project, every time I've gone to one of those grand openings, it really is great. Because you really get to see two things. One, the kids really like those libraries, but the kids come and go, but the librarians really, really like those libraries. And I think on some level it makes them be better librarians. You know, you can't actually, I mean, it's just like creating a really great set for a play to help the performers really act their parts, you know. You can't go up and act the play for them, but you can kind of give them the tools to do a great job. And I think in those libraries, it really has made a difference. So that's, you know, I think egotistically those bags are fun, but spiritually the libraries are more satisfying. Another question? Can I go in the back there, second row to the back? Here comes a microphone, so stand by.
Have you ever heard any like negative criticism about your work?
Oh yeah, constantly. Yeah, yes.
Like, what is the worst one you've ever heard? Like, offensive.
Let's see. Well, like for instance, I have a daughter, Martha, who's 16 years old. I'll just have quotes from her if you don't mind. Like, okay, you didn't memorize the whole presentation, but she knows my work fairly well. So when she saw those Saks bags that I was just talking about, She said, well, you just chopped it up like you always do, like you did with BAM, which is that Brooklyn Academy music thing where I chopped it up. And I said, it's sort of different, Martha. And she was like, yeah, right. And then I came home, I was really excited because when I got that job to do Guitar Hero, and I said, Martha, this is cool, we're gonna redo all the stuff for Guitar Hero. And she said, are you gonna do what you always do, just give it a tweak and then take all the credit? And give it a tweak means, if you don't know, that means just change it slightly and then act like you know, so. She's sort of right about that one, actually. But those are both two harsh bits of criticism. But like you know, nowadays online they have like websites you can go to where if you design a logo, they'll put the logo online. I didn't show it, but I did this logo for the merger of Miller and Coors. That looks like it's a circle. It's supposed to look like you're staring down at a glass of beer. And then we did this animation of beer pouring into the glass. Then it kind of fades into the logo, which is abstract. And the first comment when it was online was someone said, doesn't this idiot realize that looks like someone peeing into a glass? And I'm like, wow, you know, I mean, I don't pee into glasses. And the doctor, they give you a little cup at the doctor's office sometimes, but like peeing into a big pint glass, I don't do it that often. So it wasn't the first thing I thought of, you know. But so it's harsh, sort of. I mean, I remember a long time ago when my son was didn't make he was trying out for a team and he didn't make it, and he was feeling really bad about being rejected. I consoled him by saying, you know, the downside of going into work like this, and I think this is true for art and certainly true for design, is that you're always about to get rejected. You really are, and it's really personal. It's not like you've gone to a job interview and it's and they're just picking someone else. It's sort of like you'll do your work and you really care about it. You'll show it to a client and they'll say, no, I don't like that one, you know. And you'll say, no, but this is really nice. And they say, no, not quite. Or sometimes they'll be looking to hire someone. They'll look at you, look at two other people, look at your work, and they'll pick someone else. And they don't pick you because they didn't like your work. You know, it's really tough. It's personal. And but what you kind of learn to do is you learn to kind of accept those rejections. And sometimes you're being rejected for the right reason. Sometimes if what I've learned many times is sometimes if one of my clients says, I don't like that design, they're almost always right on some level. Sometimes they can't say it right, but there's something about it that isn't working for them, and part of my job is to figure out what that is. And so I sometimes say that I think what I do sometimes is like being a doctor. Sometimes people just have to tell me where it hurts, and I have to figure out really what the cure is. You know, I don't need to take someone to the pharmacy and ask them what color pill they think is the prettiest. That isn't what a designer does. A designer actually has to listen carefully and kind of be creative and come up with a solution to a problem. But you do get criticized all the time, particularly by your loved ones, by your daughter in my case. Not the one that did the lettering. She's going to law school now. The younger one who's still at home just gives me a lot of trouble all the time. Yeah, there's another question. Yeah, there's a question further in, right there. You want to wait for a microphone? Yeah, the question was, do I have a favorite typeface? Not really. I sort of, it varies. There was a period where I was using that Obama typeface, Gotham, like all the time. It really is a nice typeface. It's pretty new, and it's really, really nice. But then just like anything else, you do it over. It's like eating food that you like, and then you just get tired of eating it, then you kind of force yourself to switch. And some of the most fun things are cases where someone says you have to use this typeface, you know. And so I've used different ones, and I think any one of them can look beautiful. I do have ones that I really dislike, like I don't like Optima very much. Designers don't like Comic Sans, you know, for some reason. Although maybe there's something about it that I could learn to love. I don't know. So there's fun. I used to hate that psychedelic typeface we used for the Rock Hall, Cooper Black, but now I love it actually. So you can change your taste of these things all the time, I think.